Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy B, and today we are going to be announcing and talking about the latest Call of Dragons announcement regarding Roots of War League Season 2. Now, from this, you can see they just announced this about, I think, 30 minutes ago. So I was actually just finished a workout at the gym. I got a notification. I thought, oh my God, I'm finally going to be here for a big announcement and not already sleeping. So that's a win for me. However, let's go over this. I'm going to show you the timelines here for the current G2 season that follows this. And then we're also going to go down a little bit of memory lane for Roots of War League Season 1 stats, matchups, how the playoffs played through, and where you can go to access the Season 1 sheet, which I actually just uploaded the master copy of this on the Discord, so that way it's easier. I'll probably just do a master one for Season 2. I have a lot of plans for this upcoming Roots of War League, on top of hopefully being able to do some commentary. Actually need to remind myself to hit up guns this time too as well, because I know we talked about it last time in Season 1. So with all that out of the way, as always, if you enjoy the content, help us out. Throw us a quick, because it does. Thank you so much. All right. So the registration period for Roots of War League is coming soon. We have August 17th through August 20th. They announce it. If you plan to migrate to participate in Roots of War League, this is important. Make sure to complete your migration by August 20th inclusive to ensure you can successfully register for the league. So please plan ahead and arrange your migration, team formation, and other preparations accordingly to avoid any issues caused by timing. I want to point this out. I mean, they're giving you basically a 3 weeks heads up notice to let you know. And I mean, they did tell us even before then, right? A little while ago on the recent patch notes where it was going to be happening mid to late August. This follows along with that timeline. More detailed schedules will be shared in the official calendar released by the team later. Thank you for your continued support for Roots of War League. Good luck and see you on the battlefield. Of course, make sure you guys give us the aw yeah. So let's go forward now and look at what some of the timings mean. So if you're in the G2 pool, which for the most part is going to be the one that's probably going to have the most amount of average competitive teams that are going to be participating in ROW League. The timing here is as follows, right? So if you look here, we have season ends. So summaries on the 12th, season ends on the 14th. Then everyone goes back to home kingdom until the next season starts. Registration period will start 3 days after this, which effectively registration period will probably be in the lull. It'll probably be in the in-between period between the off season and then before the next KVK season really starts to ramp up and start. Now, again, I for one, like I get it. My thing is that if they're gonna do Row League, the one thing I really hope that they try and do this time around is if there was a way where they could work around where it was like maybe every other weekend you would or I couldn't even, I mean, honestly, I can't even say that because that's the challenge with like Row League is that you're usually doing matches on the weekend, passes open on the weekend, right? So I almost wonder if, and it sucks to say, but I almost wonder if maybe they could switch up pass openings and just make them later, right? Make them at like the end of the weekend. But I mean, listen, that might not necessarily be ideal because you're, for the most part, depending on how many matches you're going to play, right? It's not like it's going to take up the entirety of your weekend. It's just, the reason I say that is because I remember in season 1 where there were teams that just didn't fight, like didn't have all their people. Let me be specific there, right? Because it's not as though every single player within the kingdom, the alliance, is going to play in Row League and then not participating for a pass opening or for an open field push or to defend. And so, but I do remember people saying like, "Oh yeah, do we have to go like set up for Row League?" And then people were able to like push certain chokes within that window, right? If there was like a stalemate and they knew that Row League was happening. So it's, again, do I think it's going to be massively drastic and it's going to be like KVK ending? I mean, I don't think so per se. but it will be interesting to see what they do if they even opt to change anything there. So now let's get to Row League here on how things played out season one. Remember, I have this actually on my Discord. So if you want to get that, you can find a link to the pinned comment description down below. Join, you'll head over here, you'll click Call of Dragons, you click this reaction, and then once the COD category opens up, if it doesn't, just click the header, you'll go to data stats, and it's going to be right here for Roots of War League. You'll just click on this link and it'll open up this master file. Now, on here, you can see the newcomer conference, right? So who were some of the top kingdoms at the time? You can see the kingdom, the power, alliance. One of the things I'm going to try and do this time, and I might have to work on this. I'm going to reach out to Flaming over at Call of Stats because I know he does a lot of Roots of War numbers. I'm going to see if we can maybe compile some more row data so we can plug that in this time around, because I'd love to be able to work with someone that is a little bit more keen on that to give you guys a better overall presentation. Again, I got a lot of plans, like I said, for this season, but as of last season, this is what you can see in the newcomer conference. Right, this is, I believe, for non-SOS, you had, or it was early SOS, right? So it was SOS 1, and then prior to that. I believe that was the case. And then you had 162 kingdoms that registered. Bubble here was 27 million. You can see here you had 13 kingdoms that were over $1 billion power at the time. We stopped at 600 mil, right? And then if you go over to Strife, right, you had 100 kingdoms that were basically around 3 billion power. If we scroll up, you can see there was 24 kingdoms registered that were at 4 billion power. And then if we work our way all the way up, right, you had 10 kingdoms at 5 bill, 4 at 6, and then 1 was at 7, right? This was, and keep in mind, man, this was back in 2025. I think this was about a year ago, around a year ago, maybe a little less than. And at the time, WBA was the strongest, right? BTX came in second in 99. EIS was still there, 30 NA. Echo had 2 teams they were fielding, those freaking savages, right? They were basically took up spots 5 and 6. I mean, just absolutely nuts, man. And then you had EIS had 2 teams, right? But theirs were number 3 and number 13, right? So a little bit further spread. TFS, Apex, right? X. I mean, again, you had a bunch of different kingdoms. The landscape was different. Now, obviously, you have some kingdoms here that are still going strong. We'll see how they look when registration comes up. You can see what their power was. You had 513 kingdoms that registered for Strife. And the bubble here was around 11 mil. That was the lowest powered kingdom that was able to register. If we take you a little bit down memory lane, we go through like some of the prelims, right? So when you look on here, you can see anyone who I believe is colored means that they advanced, right? So this is what the groups were. This is powers in billions. So you can see like who was in which group. And I covered all of them, right? I think there was like 15 or 16 divisions. Oh, never mind. There was way more than that. Excuse me. So 32 divisions, right? With 4 groups in each, and then you had 4 kingdoms in each, and you can see the powers of each of them. I was even calculating wins. I was calculating their average points. I think it was average or total points maybe that they had accumulated at that time, because it was kind of cool. I mean, I hope they do more with the data that they show you when the Row League actually starts up again, and we have some videos covering that from last season. But you can go through here and just kind of see who was in which group, and then you can go to the qualifier rounds, and this is, again, the top 2 teams out of each group advanced to qualifiers. And then I think there was 3 matches for that. And then you can see who they faced. If it's in bold, it means that they won and they advanced. So as an example, right, WB was facing ED. You can see the power differentials too as well on here. And then I think I was doing something like a yellow. I can't remember what this was. Oh, these might have just been like really good matches maybe to watch, or sorry, no, these were underdogs. That's what it was. So if they were lower powered and it's highlighted, it means that, and they won, right? Then I just highlighted that. So again, just kind of as a note for you guys. And then if we go to Strife playoff groups, right? So now you get to the groups, but these are the playoff groups. So I believe then if this is bolded, that means they advanced in each of the groups. And I don't know how many there were. Let me see. Oh, 8. So there was 8 groups here. And then you can see all the teams that ended up advancing. And then we get to the knockouts, right? So we had round one, round two, right? This is like the final Strife SOS playoff bracket to determine who was ultimately going to be the winner. And you can see on here, right, round one, it was FWY versus Echo's second team, right? They ended up winning. Here's the points that they scored in each of the matches. If it's bold, it does mean they won. OMG was facing off against NTS. It's 48-17, right? So these are pretty lopsided. Again, a little bit more power on each of the teams. You can see that. Echo fought against YSS at the time, right? They had about 800 mil more power on them. You can see it was basically kind of a steamroll at that time. And then BTX faced off against WAO, right? They had almost a billion more power than they did. 30 NA beat out WBA, right? This was a lot closer in power. And this was a freaking awesome match. This is probably one of the best matches for round one, really, because of how close it was, right? I mean, you had, what, 1,200 points that separated. Echo's second team beats out 25 IL, a decent, almost double amount of points. MFD, this was the absolute match to watch. This was the match, and this happened in round one, right? This was, I think, the match of the tournament, right? And for anyone who knows, when we covered this at that, I mean, this is one of the like most historical moments in COD's history, right? This is probably a top 5 moment in the game's history, in my opinion. And all I remember, and there's videos out there, like we covered it, of how they just freaked out. They, they ended up posting some of their audio for like after they won the match, like how everyone was going crazy, to the point of where I remember, man, Abda and their crew, some of them ended up joining the COD VC. There was over like 200 people in there. And everyone was just go from what, again, I was busy, I couldn't join at the time, but everyone was just going apeshit crazy. Like it was so awesome, right? And you have to understand, this is almost a 3 billion power differential. I mean, not only was this an upset in the purest words, but I mean, some would argue it was just an utter embarrassment, right? Like just an epic fail of just, I don't even know, magnanimous proportions. I mean, whatever you want to say, right? I mean, I think objectively speaking, that's fair. And it was crazy, man. Like that was a moment. We had 3-3 Sleepy Eyes ended up beating out RAC. And then we get to round two, and you had OMG taking on FWY. They beat them. Echo ended up losing to BTX. You can see here, right? But it was a very close match, right? 38. I mean, you had about 2K points. That's 2.5, 2.4K points. So very close. This is lines up. So NA beats Echo's second team. MFD beats 3-3, which again, barely beating them. Like, dude, the fact that they made it to the semifinals, dude, MFD, and we have to understand, Abda was running this, right? Along with his people there. I mean, when you talk about a black horse, an underdog story, dude, they epitomized that. And I think that's why in season one, it was so memorable, right? To see a team that really, really min-maxed out their tactics, their strategy to like the most that they could, right? And then BTX beats out OMG, and then it's BTX 30 NA in the final, right? 30 NA beats out MFD, and then 30 NA ends up winning it 2-1, right, against BTX. And you can see, man, the matches were pretty close. Like, I mean, this was a good final, right? Like for a season one where it's just not an utter steamroll, that's what you want to see. And so the fact that season one ended the way it did, again, I thought it was great. I mean, yeah, there was, a decent power differential, but not to an extent of where BTX couldn't have won, right? The fact that they won at least one game and it wasn't just a straight kind of 2-1 or a 2-0 off the gate and then it's just over, right? I think that would have been a bit disappointing. But the fact that it went 3 games, I mean, unless they were just really close matches, then yeah, you can maybe make the argument. Aside from that, like I said, I am very much looking forward to seeing how season 2 plays out. And if there's anything you guys would like to see, you have any ideas for types of content we can cover, I mean, like I said, I have a lot of ideas so far on what I'd like to do. But again, I'm very excited for this upcoming season. Hopefully we'll have more to share too as well once they announce more. But yeah, man, we're going to try and do kind of a pre-early look at how teams are looking, probably maybe before the season ends and then maybe again after the season ends, because I think that's going to be the next big thing, right? During the off season for migration, where is everyone going? What are the teams? What's the new kingdom landscape? What are the row team? What's the row team landscape looking like? This is going to be one of the most exciting off seasons I think that we've had in a while. Aside from the last couple seasons that have had their own levels and forms of excitement. I'd love to know what you guys think about Row League Season 2. What are you looking forward to? What do you hope maybe they change? What do you hope that your expectations are going to be for it? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.